In this video, I'm going to be discussing the biggest mistake landlords make about their agents. Your agent isn't a housing inspector. When the council knocks, they're not the one who answers for it. You are. The biggest mistake landlords make is this. My agent knows what they're doing. In most cases, they don't, right? And it's not always their fault. Here's what is really going on. Agents are not trained housing officers. They're trained in tenancy management, rent collection, renewals, referencing, HHSRS, hazard identification is a completely different discipline. And most agencies have never trained their staff in it. So on top of that, letting agents have some of the highest staff turnover in the industry. Right? The person managing your property today might not be the person managing in 6 months' time. So even if the director is excellent, even if the agency has a great reputation, that doesn't mean that the individual walking around your property this week actually knows what they're doing and are looking at. And here's a question most landlords never ask. What happens if your agent shuts up shop? Agencies fold, directors retire, businesses get sold. If that happens, where do your records go? Who's holding your compliance history then? You are, because it was always your responsibility, not theirs. So now let's look at the consequences. Here's why all of this matters. Category 1 hazards are not optional to act on. They're mandatory. If one's found in your property, the local authority can act, and they will. Category 2 is discretionary. It varies from council to council, but discretionary does not mean it's safe. Many councils are enforcing it harder than ever, and the outcome isn't a warning letter. We're talking civil penalties, rent repayment orders, where you can be forced to repay 24 months of rent to your tenant, legal costs, investigations, time, in serious cases, restriction on your ability to let your property at all, even imprisonment. Right? None of that gets softer because you have an agent. Having an agent does not transfer your legal responsibility. It stays with you, the landlord. It always has and it always will. Agent or no agent. So now let's look at the solution. So here's what is an active landlord does differently. You don't just trust that it's been handled. You check. When was the last time you personally visited your property? Not your agent, you. When was the last time you asked for the full compliance file, every certificate, every record, every inspection note, and actually looked through it yourself? Ask your agent directly your process for identifying category 1 and category 2 hazards. How often is the property actually assessed and not visited? What happens to my records if this agency closes down? If those questions are vague or slow or don't exist, that's your gap. It's sitting there right now, whether you can see it or not. So you can't be a passive landlord anymore. Passive is expensive. Get a proper category 1 and category 2 risk assessment survey done. Not a walk around, a real assessment with a real report that tells you exactly where you stand before council does. Right, and become a free member with us. It costs nothing and it keeps you ahead of every landlord who's still guessing. So this is the action to take. Don't wait for a tenant complaint to find out what your agent doesn't know. By then, it's not a conversation anymore. It's an investigation, and it has your name on it, not theirs. Book your free 30-minute consultation right now. No obligation. Tell us what your agent has said, what records you've got, what you're not sure about, and send your questions the moment you book so every single one gets answered properly. Book your risk assessment survey today. Become a free member today. This is not a get around to it. This is your property, your name, your responsibility. So go back to your agent, answer questions. If you're not sure, come to us and we'll tell you which questions to ask there. So make sure, right, you book your free 30-minute consultation, book your category 1 and category 2 risk assessment survey, and become a free member.